organizations. Recording is now in progress. Yeah, four specific challenges that we hear about from across different organizations, whether that's our customers or in the industry, and show you how AI is actually helping solve those challenges right now in real life operations. So this definitely isn't a webinar around replacing agents. Everything that we're going to show you today is about making your agents better and enhancing their performance, giving them the information that they need at the right moment so that they can do what they do best, whether that's handling complex situations, building trust with empathy, or resolving things first time. So we did hold an event recently, which was after work with MaxContact. And one of the key things that came out of there, the theme really strongly of the day, was that through both our consumer research and through a speaker called Dr. Nicola Millard at BT, was the idea that AI and people shouldn't be competing and aren't competing. They're complementary. AI is the speed layer, and your team is what really helps build trust within the customer experience and the conversation that they're having. So the teams getting it right are the ones that have really figured out how to make those things work together really well. So we're talking through those four challenges, which are very real and more often than not costing businesses money. So our aim is really to show you how to solve them. So before we get into the detail, the webinar today is recorded. It's being shared afterwards as well. So if you want to catch up, then please do so. We've got the Q&A feature as well on Zoom. So we do these live to answer any questions that you might have in the moment. So please do use the Q&A feature. It's great to have engagement from the people attending. And if you do find the content useful as well, please share it with your team afterwards. It's always good to see how the webinar lands and if you are finding it useful. So I'll be hosting today, and I'm joined by Connor, who is our Principal Product Manager here at MaxContact. So I lead the marketing team at MaxContact and work closely with customers, product, and the commercial teams to help shape how our platform evolves. But my team really supports on bringing together customer insight, market trends, and helps feed that into the product team and to ensure that our roadmap reflects real challenges that businesses are facing today when it comes to customer engagement and where they are heading next. Connor, who no doubt many of you have spoken to, leads product strategy at MaxContact and is responsible for turning customer challenges and how we address them into practical, scalable solutions. He works really closely with customers throughout the launch processes and design process of building and shaping our AI solutions, and works really closely with the engineering function to shape AI workflows, the omnichannel roadmap, and ensuring each product delivers clear operational value for our customers. So that's who we are and who you joined with today. As a reminder, if you are new to MaxContact is an AI-powered customer engagement platform. It helps turn every customer conversation into revenue-driving outcomes. So most of our customers today are using our technology to help their businesses connect with a customer for a customer conversation. It helps reduce wasted effort and make better decisions in real time. So it leads to faster, better decisions, better conversations, and then ultimately those outcomes that help customers meet their business goals in a more efficient way. So let's get into the detail then of what we're talking about today. So the first problem that we're going to start to talk about is the call length. So this is a bigger issue than most people realize. Average service call duration in the UK is now 422 seconds. So that's 7 minutes for those of you who can't do the maths like me. And according to Contact Babel, it's the highest it's been in 20 years of actually collecting that data. And it's been creeping up since 2004. So it shows no sign of coming down on its own. So now, why is that is part of the discussion. So a big part of the answer is here on screen. So 96% of agents are still navigating multiple systems on every call. Only 4% of UK contact centres have a single unified desktop that the teams are using. So 40% are juggling more than 4 applications at once. So your agents are doing real-time system surfing while also the customer is waiting online whilst trying to pay attention, solve these challenges for customers or make a sale, whatever the outcome is. So yeah, I think it's fair to say they are multitasking a lot throughout that call process. And then there's wrap time. So 18% of every call is post-call admin. So whether that's writing up notes, updating records, triggering those next steps, that's time in the queue that is growing while your team are doing almost data entry and figuring out how best to capture the insights from the call that's happened. So it's going to be useful next time that customer calls back. And where that commercially matters is if you have got a 50 user organization or contact center making 50 calls a day, a 50% reduction in that wrap time is worth over 175K a year. So that's based on our own analysis of wrap data and ROI modeling. So that there is a real commercial cost in not bringing automation into this journey as well. Problem two, this one is closely linked to something we've heard loud and clear at the After Work event as well. So we asked UK consumers directly about their contact centre experiences with businesses across a variety of different sectors and use cases. And these are some of the insights that came out. So 42% have already switched provider because of a poor experience that they had with a contact center team. Not in regards to a product, it was directly related to the experience that they had. Another 38% have seriously considered it. So regardless of how important you as a business or your brand upholds customer satisfaction within your organization, providing a poor or below standard service or experience is a big commercial risk because of that switching cost. And many industries have also made switching so much easier as well for many consumers. You only have to look at telecoms and the big broadband switching, which they brought in a few years ago. It is now much easier to make those choices and do it without much effort from a consumer's perspective. When you look at why repeat calls happen, the data is pretty telling too. So 69% of customers rate AI worse than humans for understanding their issue. Now, I think the important bit here is the problem isn't usually AI itself or the automation. Dr. Nicola at the event also covered this. And it's where AI is used in the customer journey, but if it's introduced in the wrong moment or trying to solve the wrong challenge within the customer journey, perhaps being brought in when it's an emotionally charged conversation or complex issue, that is where we're seeing AI not particularly work for these customers. If it's being used to triage calls, the problem usually isn't then AI itself as well. It's the handover from when that challenge can't be solved within the AI agent, how that then is handed over to a human. So when a customer escalates from the AI interaction to the human agent and has to repeat everything that they've already been through, that really starts to break trust, but also introduce frustration. And people start to point the finger at like AI failure. Well, naturally, it's not. It's probably just being introduced at the wrong point. So first contact resolution is what Contact Babel call the miracle metric. It's consistently cited as one of the top 2 KPIs most influential on customer satisfaction. So every repeat call is a direct hit on that number. And at roughly £5 per service call, a repeat contact doubles your cost immediately before you've even factored in things like agent time and churn risk as well. So the fix is really that context continuity. So when a human agent picks up a call, regardless of where it's come from, whether it's your AI agent, your chatbot, or a previous interaction with a colleague, they need to start with a full picture and not the blank screen. So it sounds like the real basics, but it's still things that can be quite challenging when you have got multiple systems and different channels that these conversations are being had on. Problem number 3 here is something that we doesn't always get the focus it needs, but it should. So the average contact center reviews 1 to 2 calls per agent per week. So Contact Babel in their most recent guide said explicitly, and it's a quote, that this approach is neither fair nor valid as a performance measurement tool. So that's not us saying it, it's industry research that's out there that you can go download as well. We can put a link in the follow-up comms for you to go and have a look at that. But I think the important point here are businesses are making quite serious decisions based on maybe pay, performance review decisions. But I think most importantly here, like the coaching effort that goes into where someone should we be adjusting scripts? Should we be providing support to this agent in a slightly different way? All of those decisions are based on a sample of a handful of conversations, and the calls that happen to get picked in that moment, which means that things like objection handling failures or whether compliance is drifting and the moments where an agent is really struggling can sometimes remain invisible for many organizations until it's too late. So what you actually need there is then the 100% call coverage, scorecards built on the full picture, so you're not getting that sample, and AI that makes it achievable. So Connor's going to touch on this, but our AI call scoring takes QA review time per call from 30 minutes down to 5 minutes. So that's roughly 4 days of analyst capacity back in the team every month, capacity that can go into coaching, improvement, and into work that actually helps move performance of the team as well. And one of the things that Dr. Nicola talked about at the event was that using AI as a cobot to take the cognitive load from human advisors and team leaders specifically, so that they can spend their times on things that really need human judgment. And I think QA at scale is a perfect example of that. Then the final challenge we're going to touch on before Connor shows us some of the solutions to these challenges is personalisation. So 76% of consumers say that personalised communications influence their brand choice. So that was quoted from Salesforce's State of the Connected Consumer. So now personalisation at conversation level might sound complex, but it's how we build the right building blocks and get the things in place that we need to be able to do that. And that is pretty straightforward. So things that we know that we need are things like customer history and intent before the conversation starts. You need an in-call sentiment detection, so you know how the agent knows that someone is frustrated or at risk. And you need consistent context when the customer is called, chatted to, or whether what happened last time they spoke to an AI agent. And you need the next best action guidance as well, surfacing what your best agents can do in those moments and starting to replicate that across your team as well in real time. And that's where the connection to everything that we've covered today so far comes in. So the demo that Connor has prepared that you're about to see really isn't about solving one of those problems in isolation. It's about having the one window for agents to work from, the detailed customer history and notes with Agent Wrap-Up Summary, clean data at that handover, and insights across hundreds of 100% of your calls. And once you've got to that, then personalization at a core level doesn't become an aspiration anymore. It is the logical next step because you have all the information that you need to be able to do that. So Connor, I'll hand over to you to introduce the demo.
Yeah. So I took some time at the end of last week and the beginning of this week to pull together like 5 individual demos, and our marketing team very kindly like kind of pulled them all together for me. So some of these things are in alpha at the moment, so such as real-time analytics, stereo call recording, real-time transcription, and agent wrap-up summary. So when I say they're in alpha testing, that means that they are in our labs within the business, and you are getting a behind-the-scenes look at them, and that we are actively using them with our own kind of contact centers within our business, in our support areas and our business development areas, in order to ensure that they are ready for going to customers and beta testing. Some of the other things like AI call scoring are now generally available, which means that, like, should you log into your conversation analytics solution, it'll be there today. And some are kind of coming soon, and I'll identify them as we go along. But that said, let's do it. Okay. So I wanted to introduce you to our agent wrap summary feature, and that's to specifically kind of combat excessive call lengths that Kayleigh was talking about. So there's a new place in conversation analytics called Prompt Studio. It's over here on the left-hand side. Beforehand, it used to be embedded into the AI assistant that you can use within the interactions. And it has all of the elements that it had before. So all of the kind of defined prompts, all grouped into different kind of areas that you can use within the solution. The ability to create custom prompts and create new ones there. But specifically today, what I wanted to look at is the agent wrap-up summary prompt. So let's click there. And we will tell it that this is a collections company, and we service third-party debt as an agency. Okay. The person who's going to read these notes are other collections agents primarily. We want it to be professionally written, and anything that your kind of brand voice wants to be in here. So clipped and precise, and brevity is important. Okay. In terms of the structure, we might say that we want to separate the notes out into different sections. Short summary, probably first. Any collection specific information, e.g. I&Es, income expenditure, not and, any, right? Then perhaps pertinent and caller information, e.g. vulnerability, employment status, etc. Then perhaps like next steps, agreed. Okay. Anything that we want to prioritize. So any disclosures that might indicate red flags. E.g. bankruptcy, IVAs, that type of thing. Oh, what should we not put in? So any assumptions. This should all be factual. Okay. Then any other rules or constraints. So we'll save that there. That's lovely. We have our kind of template, like how it's going to be created, designed. Now let's go and log in as an agent, and we will see how the call gets transcribed, and the summary gets kind of applied to the call within like a few seconds of the call ending. Right. So now that we've set up our prompt for our agent wrap summaries, then we'll have a look at how we do it in Contact Hub. So you can see we've just had a call drop into Contact Hub we have a new app on the right-hand side. So it's called our Live Agent Assist app. It is an app that sits on the agent's desktop, and what it does is it captures the audio in real time and in stereo. So you'll see that up on the top right, they'll have the microphone set and their speaker. And you'll see, as I'm talking to you, the call that has dropped in has a live transcript coming through. So the live transcript is identifying the agent and the customer precisely. And what that means is that as we now have the transcript in stereo, our accuracy of everything that's built on top of that becomes even higher. So your call summaries become better, your AI call scoring becomes better, your objection identification and categorization becomes better. Okay, so at the end of the call, you can see within Contact Hub, the wrap summary just got automatically generated. So I see the wrap-up summary with the little AI sparkle. And what I can do is I can copy that or I can edit it. So if I edit it, I review it as an agent and I straight away kind of update whatever it is, or I can copy it and paste it into another system there before I set my call outcome. Okay. Because we were talking about excessive call lengths, I wanted to just remind you that you can look at all of these in conversation analytics and try and understand the reason behind why that call length is excessively long. So if we start here at home, we can move straight to all data and we can begin to figure out kind of what's happening here. So if I apply a filter, you'd be able to apply filter by individual call lengths. So you can see it goes right the way up to the end there. And let's just pick all of the really big ones. Okay. Right there, one call came back and I can begin to kind of understand like if there was a distribution of calls, what they would look like in there and what they have in common across their objections, sentiment, performance, topics, and drill into, even go as far as drill into the individual interactions themselves and begin to ask some questions of our AI assistant for it. So kind of, why do you think this call was excessively long? Okay, it can kind of understand, and then how could I systematize, shortening it. Right. And there we go. Right. So if I'm going to do that regularly, what I can do is I can save that into a view and I can say excessively long calls, create the view, and it's there for the future. Okay. All right, let's go back home and we'll talk about scoring now. So Kayleigh mentioned ending the guesswork. So we have had a feature in beta for quite a while now. It's done very successfully at the clients that we've been betaing with, and we've made it generally available to all of our clients with conversation analytics there last Tuesday. So, and it is scorecards. So on the left-hand side here, you see a new navigation item for scorecards. If I click that, I'll see all of the different kind of automated scorecards that I have. I can go and I can have a look at these and begin to understand kind of what the scorecard name is, what the pass rate I'm setting on it is, what the business context is. So that's like really important here to give it some context so it can understand, you know, the difference in processes from one campaign to another, how you want to operate as a business, what your products are, those type of things. Right? For all of the kind of scorecard itself, you have individual sections. So, and within the sections, you have questions. So the questions can be yes, no, they can be, which means you get the full score of 10 for a yes or 0 if it's a no. So it's all or nothing. A rating, which basically means you get between 1 and the rating that you've selected based on how well or not that you've done. And an observation. So not something that doesn't contribute to the score, but that will provide you with some information about it. So, I mean, what was the agent's general demeanor like during the call? If if you could look at agent performance, what would you suggest to improve here? Those type of things. Okay. Within it, they have evaluation criteria as well. Okay, and then I can amend this evaluation criteria. So I have got like really specific with some of our clients with this evaluation criteria, where I've like put complex decision trees in there for eligibility requirements. But the great thing is it's just an AI prompt. So it is just typing in there what it is that you want. You don't have to kind of do any maths or create any flow diagrams. It's just type it in what it is you want. Right? And then whether the question auto fails the whole scorecard or not. Okay, I can define as many questions as I like. And when I've finished editing it, I publish my scorecard. Now, in order to run it, what I do is I have some predefined filters I made earlier. So with all of the calls that have been scored so far, I have 7 of those that I did last week. But within my filters, it's the same thing as before. For setting up views, you have this ability to filter based on a scorecard. So you can filter based on individual scorecards. Okay, like the one I was doing earlier, whether it's a pass, a fail, an auto fail, or whether there's a score range in here that allows you to kind of pull out individual like mid fails and focus on those. Okay, if I cancel that, let's have a look at the interactions themselves. Okay, so within these, I can see that they're all scored. If I hover over it, it gives me like whether it passed, whether it failed, which scorecards have been applied to it, what the score actually was, and some basic an evaluation summary of that. Okay, so if I drill into one of these, you'll see that the scorecards are over here on the right now. I can drill into those. I can see exactly like what happened when they were applied. So, and within those, we can drill into the individual sections. So if I look at my FCA criteria 1, I can see that it failed on the first 2 questions, and I can drill in and see why. For each of those, you'll see the sources within it. Okay, or whether it wasn't mentioned at all. Now, if I want to go and apply a new one, like this sales conversion efficiency one, I can apply it. It'll run away. It might take 15 or 20 seconds for a long transcript, and then I'll come back with the answers for you. All right, it's come back. We can see it's failed. I'll drill into that. Didn't set the relevant agenda and communicate early on. Didn't identify the key pain points or renewal risks. Didn't use examples, proof points, or case studies within the call. Didn't clarify the root of the objections before responding. Okay, a whole set of things in here. So, like I said, you can set it up in whatever way you wish. It helps you to end that guesswork, and it's a feature that's like freely available to all of our conversation analytics customers today. So just click on the scorecards icon on the left-hand side, or reach out if you need a hand like setting it up. So what I've shown you so far with all of that AI call scoring, that's there. Our customers are using it today. The next piece that we're adding to this is the ability to kind of run schedules for this and do it in large volumes across the board. So essentially, we're kind of extending out what we have in our scorecards today to have a capability for schedules. So as we click on schedules, you'll see that there's 2 different types there. There's always on, which are as new calls come in, then just process them with the relevant scorecard. And there's one time. So there might be something that you want to run a campaign on compliance across the last quarter, but you're really only focusing on 1 or 2 questions. So what you do is you create a new schedule. And within this, you add a scorecard. So you pick one that you want to apply and add it in. You add some rules in. So you use the same kind of filter dialog that we had before and add in your rules. So in this case, I'm saying it's only for 3 teams. The call duration has to be between 5 and 10 minutes, and the transcript must contain MaxContact. And then whether it's a one-off or always on schedule and what period it will run for. Okay, when we do that, we create and activate it. Our schedule gets created, and then all of the calls that come in that match that criteria from now on will be have that scorecard applied. And then, as before, you can have a look in any of the views. And to our performance tab, we've added not just the conversion rate and the successes, but we've added the pass rates, the auto fails, so you can look at individuals on a team and begin to kind of understand like how they're doing for a particular set of scorecards. And I can even drill into them like I can today. And there's an additional section here over on the right now within this modal that talks about scoring for this individual agent. So similarly, you can do that at a team and campaign level as well. All right, so I'm very excited about what's coming along. We're due to kind of have this out with our beta customers towards the end of next month. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, big thanks to Connor for pulling all those together. As you can see, there's lots of new functionality that is coming to the platform very soon. So we covered the AI call scoring, which really helps businesses end the guesswork, know where to focus on from a coaching and compliance perspective, included in conversation analytics. We've got the automated wrap side of things, which really helps with team efficiency, and one of the best use cases of AI and AI acting as that cobot within your organization. And then the real-time agent and auto QA at scale to really see those macro trends as well across teams, individuals, and campaigns. So very exciting stuff. So we're going to go to any questions that we have got. So bear with me whilst I get these up. So does the AI, generate wrap notes automatically, or does an agent still have to review and almost click the submit button?
So it generates the summary automatically as soon as the call ends. The agent doesn't have to write anything. So what they'll see is a completed wrap note ready to go. They can review it. They can make edits if they need to and submit it. In practice, though, most go through with little or no change. I suppose the point isn't to remove the agent from the loop entirely. It's to remove that blank page problem and the 3 to 5 minutes of typing that currently sits between every call and the next one.
Yeah. Good. How accurate is the AI? What's the error rate on things like wrap notes?
Yeah, it's a tough question because the accuracy depends on the call and the audio quality. But in normal operating conditions, the wrap summaries are reliable enough that most agents can submit them with like minimal edits. The agent wrap-up summaries also use the stereo call recording, which separates the agent speaking from the other person on the person on the other line, and that provides a higher level of accuracy for customer context. I suppose, depending on how it's all set up, it's definitely in excess of 85%, which is where it needs to be for a subject matter expertise system. And as you refine your prompt more and more, you increase that level of accuracy.
Great, thanks, Connor. When is the wrap-up summary available? And then same question for auto QA.
So the wrap summary moves into beta in mid-June. So that's about 3 weeks off now. And we expect to make it generally available to all of our customers towards the middle of July. The auto QA at scale that we just looked at, that goes into beta with a handful of our clients on July 6th. And if anybody on the call would like to be a beta customer at all, please reach out. I'd appreciate it. And then auto QA at scale will go to all of our customers at the beginning of August.
Great stuff. Okay, that's all the questions that we have. Usually when I say that, we get a couple more. So if you do want to ask away. yeah, like Connor said, we'll be sending out all the information afterwards, links to the relevant reports as well, where you can find, do your own digging as well. Um, but yeah, no more questions have come in, so let's end it there. But a big thank you for everyone joining today. And yeah, I hope you're as excited as we are. If you've got any feedback, let us know. But
Nice to see you
thanks,
all.
Connor. See you
Cheers now.
soon.
Bye bye.
Bye.